It's Thursday, which means it's time to talk to Adam Chernoff from Angle Sports, kind enough to join us every week on Chicken Dinner. Back on top, too. I noticed that 5 is better than that 4. And the team that helped you get there, the Chicago Bears, now a 2-point favorite in London, but you are staying away from the Bears. Why is that?
I think it's a tough spot for them. Jacksonville has so much experience with this trip, and for Chicago, it's a new staff going over. It's a new QB going over. They went early in the week. They have to do all the media appearances and everything that comes with it. To me, that's a pretty significant advantage for Jacksonville with the game itself. And then also, Sam, the Bears' offense has looked solid the last 2 weeks. They've done a good job getting the screen game going, progressing every week with Williams under center. But it was the Rams. It was the Panthers, both of those defenses near the bottom of the league. And look, I know Jacksonville and their man coverage hasn't been a whole lot better, but when we start comparing Jacksonville with Carolina and the current state of the Rams, and you see the Bears effectively laying an equivalent number, they're 2-point favorites here on a neutral. We think they closed -3 against the Rams. We think they closed -4 against the Panthers. Like, that's putting the Jags in that exact same category as those two teams. And if what we saw from Jacksonville last week getting the offense going, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. So if anything, I think this is like peak pricing for the Bears this week, where I feel like the last 2 weeks, maybe we got a bit of a break. So nothing on the Bears for me this week, but service-wise, we're interested in the total.
It's basically a case of buy and sell. You knew when to buy, and now you're willing to sell. You're not going to bet Jacksonville, but you just stay away, and that's why you're great at what you do. Let's go down to a move that happened on the show today. I was so mad because we do these 3-hour shows every morning, Joe O and I on BetQL Daily, and I came into the segment talking about how I was about to bet the Patriots +7.
Oh.
And wouldn't you know it, during the segment, pow, 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 they took the 7s off the board offshore. And I'm not talking on this side of the board. I'm talking on this side of the board. They came in over here and cleaned all these 7s up. And I'm sitting on the segment. I know I look pissed off because I was pissed off. I think that's a good bet at 7. No Nico Collins. And you're finally going to get some semblance of quarterback play from New England. Now, that just because I like it doesn't mean you like it. What did you make of that move off the 7?
I know who caused the move. And so that makes me think a little bit differently about how I thought about the game to begin with. And certainly maybe changes my mind a little bit. I will say, I was honestly all week, I was looking at like, how can I play Houston in this spot? And the negatives just started to pile up. Nico Collins, as you mentioned, is not going to play. Also, Joe Mixon looks like he's less than 50-50 chance to play in this game. So you think about like how Miami beat the Pats last week, just pounded them on the ground, run game. That's not what Houston's going to do, especially without Mixon. If you take Collins out, and Sam, I'm watching all these videos this week from film guys pointing out how big of an issue Tank Dell has been, and he doesn't look like who he was last year. If Gonzalez matches up with Diggs, like the Pats defense is banged up as it is, might have an answer. And this is a number that we're just not seeing teams cover this often in the NFL, especially on the road this year. So a lot of negatives for Houston. You said there might be some semblance of a quarterback play. I don't know if I'm there yet. With that offensive line the Pats are trotting out against this Texans pass rush, that's as tough of a debut spot as you're going to get. So maybe he looks a lot better than Jacoby Brissett. I'm not there yet. Let's see what happens on Sunday.
Oh, maybe it's good I missed the move then. Maybe they kept me off a winner or a loser. We'll see. I guess we'll find out on Sunday.
It seems like it's right. So I hate to kill any optimism, but we'll see.
Well, I'm not taking 6.5. All right. 5 wins, 4 losses. Back where you belong. Back where you've always been on this segment we do every week. And I hear you have 1. You didn't tell me what it was, so I can't wait to be surprised.
Well, we're split between some numbers here on the board. Doing it Thursday, you get a little bit tighter. And so I think just to keep it fair, instead of going with one of the afternoon games, I'll go with the Packers in the early slate. I see 4.5s showing on the board, but I'll play it at -5 to keep it fair, whereas the other one was on the line of 3, and you're not quite sure what to grade it at. So we'll go Packers -5 in this spot. Sam, this is the first, I'll call it, real Packers game we're going to see all season. And what I mean by that is, you think week 1, it was Jordan Love in Brazil. The next 2 weeks were Malik Willis. Then Love returns, and he's hobbled and he's not 100% against the Brian Flores #1 defense. And then last week they had the wide receiver suspension for Dobbs. Watson misses. It's a road game against Matt LaFleur's brother. It's against his best friend and Sean McVay. So like every week for Green Bay this season, there's been something weird or different about the game. Now they're back home. You have Jordan Love, who said this week he can actually play under center more often. He's not as limited by the injury. That's a huge part of their offense. And they're playing a defense in Arizona that has no pass rush up front and just allows everything to be completed on them in the secondary. Very weak against the run. This is a spot where I think LaFleur schemes up a game plan to finally get the full extent of the Packers offense. And Arizona, off that comeback win against the 49ers, was kind of phony in how it played out. I'm looking at this as too short of a number here. So I'll play it at 5 as it stands right now. There's 4.5s on the board, and that's what I'll go with for week 6.
60% potentially on the horizon for Adam Chernoff, Right Angle Sports. Thanks for all you do.
Enjoy the week, Sam.